I believe most people trying to help new shooters have good intentions. They genuinely desire to see the person they care about become more proficient.
But in my personal journey, the information they often gave me was less than accurate. And in many cases, the things that I was taught in the beginning, I had to sort of unlearn in order to progress forward. The question I've always wondered is, if I would have avoided many of the mistakes early on, would I be that much better today?
Maybe it's just me, but I feel that we all have a responsibility as people who take training seriously to put out good info to new shooters. Let me make an example. I remember learning how to shoot a pistol. I was told to pin the trigger to the rear. I was taught that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I was taught that I want to be gentle with my trigger press, to not slam the trigger to the rear. I was taught these weird ratios of grip with my hands. It felt like shooting a pistol was some weird algebra equation. And in fact, I wasn't getting any better. I was only getting more and more frustrated.
I vividly remember getting so frustrated with shooting that I nearly gave up on shooting or carrying a handgun. Between the mixed information, the bad information, and frankly, my own lack of progress, I was getting immensely frustrated. It might seem crazy, but it impacted me in a pretty major way. I remember after one range day saying to myself, you claim you'd be willing to fight, die, and bleed for your family, but currently you can't even hit a freaking 24 with 36-inch target consistently. Powerfully negative thoughts flooded my mind. Where did this come from? Largely it came from my own ignorance, but also I was looking for information in the wrong places. How often do we do that? We tap our neighbor, friend, family member who we think knows what we want to learn, only to find out down the road that they weren't really that great. Or my other favorite extreme, we seek out professional training, spend thousands and walk away no better than before. You see, we tend to overcomplicate simple tasks in the shooting world. We like to add a flair of marketing with a side of spice. I mean, we could just walk new shooters through some basics like shooting a pistol requires enough grip to keep the gun where you need it, stable and consistent. A good trigger press is one that doesn't move your sights regardless of how fast you press the trigger. Good, consistent hits are hits. Dry firing is the best way to get familiar with your pistol, and the only way to get good is to make your pistol second nature. Simple stuff. And you know what? All of this comes with time, persistence, and focus. I spent so many months on the range doing dumb stuff like balancing pennies on my front sight or empty brass. I'd do these goofy parlor tricks to prove that I could break the trigger without moving my sights. Until I loaded that chamber and I flinched. And why did this keep happening? I could fool my brain when the chamber was empty, then when I'd load back up, I'd go right back to flinching again. And I'd fall back into this same routine. More grip, or wait, maybe I was gripping too much. Stop slapping my trigger, but how come this other guy can shoot so freaking fast? Are my sights off? I mean, I did drop my pistol the other day on the range. Maybe I just don't like Glock pistols. Maybe I'll shop for an M&P and see how that goes. Maybe my gun's broken. I'll just aim higher to land my hits. I just need to remember that if I aim high and right, I'm gonna land those shots, and so on. And I have the suspicion that you've done this too. You analyze your lack of performance, you study the information you've been given, you try to apply what you've been told, and you realize that you still suck. But all you have is the information that you've been told, and so this cycle just continues. My question is, how do we break this cycle? So basically, I could just stand here and talk to you guys about the concepts of this and how I learned to sort of unlearn certain things in my own shooting, but I would prefer to just do a little basic demonstration of one area where this really stood out to me, and that is the area of trigger presses, because I know you've heard the phrase, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and there's a whole lot of weird nuances to trigger presses that people will throw at new shooters, and ultimately what it does is it sort of complicates this thing, because if I'm looking at my pistol here and we boil down what a trigger is literally pressing a button. It's nothing else. Like, we make stupid phrases and we come up with these weird methodologies or whatever you want to call them. I don't even know how to say that, but we come up with these weird things that overcomplicate the fact that all we're trying to do here is literally press a button. That's it. Super simple, right? So then why, when you come down to the range, are you missing? How come when you're on the range, you're pulling low left? How come when you are dry firing, you're not flinching? But then as soon as you grab your gun, you load it, and you go to shoot, all of a sudden, you're finding yourself pulling your shots. Well, there's a whole lot that goes into that. This video is not about addressing all of that, but let me just focus in on that trigger press. And I'm gonna actually show you right now what people told me to do when I first started shooting a pistol. So let's do that. And I wanna see if you guys can kind of analyze what I'm doing here. Now, downrange are my two favorite targets. We've got the USPSA target on our cardboard base, and we have a mini ADAP. The mini ADAP's a reduced C-zone. So I'm gonna put these rounds on the steel just so you can hear it, but watch what I do here and see if you can pick it up. This is what I was taught from day one. Okay, I was slow, I was smooth. Was I fast? If you think that was fast, you're crazy. There's some things misfiring up there, but at the end of the day, what I did there is I pinned the trigger. So people told me when I first started shooting that the best thing I could do was press the trigger nice and smooth and not break the sight picture and pin it all the way to the back. So that's what people were telling me. This is nice. This is a great thing for you to do. That's what I was taught. But I analyzed shooters that were ahead of me, and ultimately shooters that were shooting a lot faster than I was. They weren't doing that. So I started questioning this. Well, what the heck? I mean, at the end of the day, I was standing here doing goofy things like putting brass on my front sight and trying to balance it when I was breaking the trigger. You know, stuff that doesn't make any sense as you start shooting, but ultimately to a new shooter, it can confuse them into thinking that this is a good thing that we should be doing. And I spent a whole lot of wasted energy, time, and money doing things that didn't make sense. So the reality is, slow might be smooth, but slow is not fast. Those things are opposites. There's no equal to there. Slow is not fast. So as you start to progress and you want to progress, the reality is you have to change from that pinning the trigger to the back and then intentionally resetting to try to make your hits land. And you need to be able to do what I'll do right here. I'll just push out and put a couple rounds on target. So inside of all of those strings of fire, and that wasn't crazy fast, but I'm landing hits on a reduced C-zone at whatever this is, 7 yards, but I'm not pinning the trigger to the rear. As soon as I fire, I'm resetting that trigger. The objective with this one particular example was I learned that if I want to progress and become faster, I can't just pin the trigger to the rear. I actually have to progress past that. And what I was gonna show you guys is if I do my job right with this pistol, my next shot should be prepped right as that first shot breaks. And I'll just give you a little demo here. So just one shot, but without moving my finger, notice this, I'm ready for the next shot. So the key here and the thing that I'm trying to hammer home is there's a whole lot of bad information. There's a whole lot of stuff you're gonna run into as a new shooter, and you're gonna have to digest it and figure out at what point is it bad information. Sometimes it is. There's times when it's not bad information, but it's information that you're gonna have to progress past because you want to hit a certain skill level. If you wanna shoot fast, there's a whole lot of stuff you're gonna have to change. Let me talk on one other thing, grip. There's a whole lot of people that when I started shooting said I should have a relaxed grip. It should just feel natural. But what ends up happening is your pistol, if you have a relaxed grip, does a whole lot of moving. Well, why is that bad? Well, sight picture is us reacting and managing the recoil. You can't control the recoil, it happens. Something goes boom, it pushes back on you, you can't control it. You're trying to maintain it. You're trying to do as much as you can to work through it and drive the sights back down onto your target. Nobody taught me that. Nobody taught me that When you're shooting a string of fire, you're actually driving the gun back down onto target. And I'm hoping in the slow-mo footage you can get a little bit of a grasp of that. But that's just another example. And then with the grip, if you don't have good grip, you can't be controlling that pistol either, because grip is friction. Friction is what's keeping that pistol where you need it to be. So there's an argument that most people probably aren't gripping enough. Again, just another example, but I had to learn it through putting thousands of rounds downrange, wasting a ton of time, and ultimately, finally, being able to find people that were a little bit ahead of me that had good information that could pour into me. So wrapping this all up, my hope is this channel can be one of those outlets for you where you can find information and be able to trust it, to be able to say, okay, well, it's verified. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'll never come out here and say I'm this grandmaster, awesome shooter guy. I'm just a basic dude who has a basic skill with firearms. But I learned a lot over the years. I'm hoping it can save you a lot of time. So that's the objective. I think the question is, how do we avoid some of these headaches? The answer is shooters that have the information, share it with everybody who's new. Basically, my experience with shooting is just like many of you. I had to unlearn much of what I was taught and relearn these skills in a very new way. The crazy part is what I found was a simpler way. I found other people to surround myself with who could push me to grow. And I'm hopeful to get back to my roots on our channel here, to continue to be presenting topics like this to hopefully help you avoid some of the issues that I ran into as a new shooter. What I hope to do is encourage you all to remind you that shooting is a journey, it's a process, and along the way, you're gonna get told information that's less than helpful. You'll also build off of some good info and replace it with some better information later, and that's a good thing. But it's important to remember, never get stagnant, never stand still, never just accept where you're at right now, because that's not growth, that's complacency. Where I am now is not where I should want to be in 3 or 5 years. And if you have a good foundation, use it to give shooters, new shooters, good information that's gonna be helpful to them on their journey. Help them unlearn some of the bad habits that they might have acquired along the way. And ultimately, we all get better by doing this. I hope the video was helpful, and if it was, share it with someone that you deeply care about. And also remember that making videos like this one isn't free. We have a million different ways that you all can support us, and I did want to discuss a few of them here in this video. The first is completely free. Just simply share this video, engage in the comments and like it and subscribe to our channel. I know that every channel asks you to do this, but I can tell you that it truly does matter. And if you're blessed enough, consider buying some of the target systems like the one that I used in this video for your own training. We manufacture our steel targets right here in the great state of Pennsylvania. The system that I showed you has a lifetime warranty. It is 1/2-inch AR-550 steel, highly portable, extremely safe, and I designed it for a lifetime of use, and our team builds them to the highest quality possible. And I have a special discount for subscribers in the description. If you grab one of these reduced C-zones like I used today on the range, you're gonna save a ton of money. I'm gonna keep that code open for a short period of time. Don't wait. You're gonna be investing in yourself and you're supporting the channel that you love to watch at the exact same time. Appreciate all of you for watching this video. I appreciate all the years of support. Catch you on the next one.